Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming out tonight. My name is Gina Reichert. I'm one of the two interim heads of the architecture department here at Cranbrook, the other with my partner, Elise Deschard. If you haven't been, we're way over there on the other side of campus. But we are very excited this evening. Sorry, I moved the mic. To have you here for our guest lecture. Mireia Luzarraga is an architect and educator and co-founder of TAC, an architecture and research studio based in Barcelona and New York, together with partner Alejandro Muñoz. Her work investigates how architecture can contribute to more equitable ways of living through feminist and ecological approaches to design. Born in Madrid, she is an assistant professor at Columbia University's Graduate School of Architecture, where she directs the first-year core design studio and has also been a visiting professor at the University of Tokyo. Named a Design Vanguard in 2024 and selected for Forbes 50 Architects to Watch, Mireia is co-editor of 100 Words for Water, a lovely book which she just gifted to our department. So students, it will be on our shelf tomorrow. I'm very excited about that. We love our library. It's a collection of writing that investigates the interrelatedness of water systems, human life amidst the escalating climate crisis. As co-curator of the 2025 Catalan Pavilion at the Venice Architecture Biennale, titled Water Parliaments, the curatorial proposal there asks questions such as, what if water had a parliament? And what if architecture didn't just house life, but negotiated with it? For all of the aforementioned and much more, we are very excited to have her here at Cranbrook and to share the work of TAC with you all. When I first saw their work, I have to say it was sheer joy for me. Their practice creates environments that feel both otherworldly and entirely grounded in place, one crafted from playful material and color investigation and meticulous detailing. TAC's work is dynamic and tactile, full of character, and transforms the experience of place upon encounter. Please join us in welcoming Mireia Luzarraga to Cranbrook.
Thank you. Thank you, Gina, for an amazing introduction. Yes, I'm very happy to be here. Really honored to have been invited here. I love this campus. So I'm going to go a little bit through the work that we have been doing in the office for the past 10 to 15 years. I'm going to start by introducing the office in several ways, and then I will go through some of the projects that we do and that you can see over here. No? So, as Jean already mentioned, TAC is a research-based architecture office investigating how design can catalyze egalitarian societies through the incorporation of feminism, queer ecologies, and post-human studies into spatial practices. This is how we introduce ourselves in our webpage, but a little bit of context of where we come from. We come from a generation of Southern European youth who rediscovered the potential of politics in reaction to the austerity measures imposed by wealthier countries following the economic crisis of 2008, resulting in this 15M movement. 2008 was the year when we got graduated, and of course all of these mobilizations were part of the great legacy of the early pro-social rights movements that began in Genoa. Oops, sorry. I don't know what happened. Okay. In the early 2000s, and they went on with the Marches for Peace in 2004, and now with the onset Arab Spring, and more specifically in Barcelona, they culminated with the naming of the leader of the anti-eviction movement into the mayor of Barcelona. So all of this led us to understand that design is a tool for activism. Sorry, it's my fault. So within this context, we founded our office in 2011, taking over an old factory that had to close due to the crisis. For us, and I think this is something that we share with Chromebook, a large space is crucial for our work since we fundamentally understand architecture as a research practice looking for new material, constructive, and aesthetic processes that foster social transformation and the redistribution of power. So another introduction is this one, where we also try to place ourselves within the contemporary thinking context. So our work also aligns with the context defined by critical thinking as post-human studies. The post-human studies recognize the need to decenter human exceptionalism, particularly that derived from the Western, white, male heterosexual perspectives as a completely new step to a necessary step for establishing new contracts between us and the rest of the living entities of the planet. And so if we divide into these four main axes of action that we follow in this office, or post-patriarchal, post-colonial, post-carbon, and post-natural, our office has been working in these 6, also 7 now, long-term research lines that enable us to challenge the ecological, historical, political, and social forces shaping the discipline of design today, and from which all of these different projects are formalized based on the needs of the clients, and they result on the portfolio that the office has been building over the past 10 to 15 years, no? And that we can see in this diagram that we are building, no? And so looking into our projects and the process of our works, we have this super wide portfolio where almost every month we're launching one different project, mainly coming from commissions from cultural institutions. And so we always work around the same topics. You see this horrible Excel file, but that is very useful for us in order to situate our projects and relate them to others and follow these links or this kind of between the different long-term research lines, and also generating these connections between different projects, no? So this kind of Excel file also works for us as a tool for generating new projects, no? And so we are constantly putting them in in relation through the same different through establishing connections through their different lines of research, or their different structural principles or material principles or ecological principles and so on, no? So this is a work that is very much in progress, but that we are constantly doing inside of the office. It's a little bit of unfinished, but that we are constantly doing in order to produce new projects, and also in order to contextualize the projects that we have done in the past, no? In this case, for instance, we were analyzing the projects that have to do more with tensegrity structures. Previous ones are projects that have to do with vegetal politics and so on, no? All of these ways of of all of this context around us, the political, the social, the contemporary thinking context, led us to design that architectural devices are also political activators, no? So if we go a little bit through the different long-term research lines that we have been working in the office, I will be explaining them very briefly and then explaining some of the projects that we have been working, no? First of them would be this one that we call interspecies alliances. This is a research initiative that gathers those projects that explore co-production formats based on interspecies companionship as a key tool to address the challenges posed by climate crisis. So these projects explore the active integration of non-human life forms into contemporary design, ranging from gardens to proposal of food sovereignty and so on, no? And you see them here. I will go through some of them. For instance, this one is Arca, a portable garden, where we started working from the fact of how the desertification line is advancing to the north in Europe, and we were working in the city of Barcelona. Barcelona is a super dense city because of these kind of geographic constraints. There's the sea, there's the mountain, there's another mountain, and there's two rivers that are like making them like super packed, super dense, and with a very little amount of green spaces. So this is what creates this heat island effect in the city of Barcelona. But more than that, the way in which we select the plant species that live with us in the city, this is the Atlas of Biodiversity of the city of Barcelona, we found out that the plant species that live with us are like very homogeneous, like you see like all this street like has always these like platanus, and this is because the criteria in which we select the plant species that live with us in the cities is mainly because of functional and very like human related criteria, such as like that they look beautiful during fall and winter, or that they don't generate allergies. But in this city that is very vulnerable to climate change, that is like suffering this heat island effect, and it would be crucial to start thinking of other kinds of criteria in order to think of how we incorporate the vegetal species that live with us in the cities, coming from less kind of anthropocentric perspectives. So with this commission of the investigation of generation of new ways of public landscapes in the city of Barcelona, related to other species, we proposed this portable garden that would develop a more complex vision of the possibilities of incorporating nature in the contemporary city beyond the aesthetic criteria. So together with landscape designers, with botanists, with ecologists, we curated a whole set of species of plants that we consider that should be taken into account to incorporate in the city of Barcelona. Spaces that we're able to gather more pollinators, species that were edible and that would also like open the conversation on food sovereignty in the urban contexts, species that were able to absorb more CO2, 10 times, for instance, more CO2 than others, were some of the species that we brought to this portable garden. And so also, in order to socialize this device, as if it was a procession, the garden could move both towed by the citizens themselves, exploring the capacity for celebration and collective gathering around the artifact. And so for the political achievement of like opening this conversation around the green spaces in the city of Barcelona, it was essential to socialize the project. So we were doing like from activities with kids in order to learn these foraging practices, or these celebration events to move the Arca and so on. We kind of activated the device, and so this could be like potentially like a new like a classroom for the learning of edible species, or a garden that could be moving around the city to those places where was needed, places, for instance, that were like generating more pollution, so to absorb this pollution and so on. But more than that, and of course not just because of us, but because a whole amount of experts in Barcelona advocating for this like shifting in the shaping of the landscape of the city of Barcelona, more and more we can find this incorporation of other species, and this is a project, the Mercat del Ninot, done by our collaborators in this project, Le Atelier, where other different species that were not like usually accepted by the society are like starting to grow in the city of Barcelona. And so as this project, many of these, that some of them I will be explaining today, are also related to public space and the city and urban spaces and public space and other species, no? As for instance, this one that is called mountains, Pink Mountains, where we were looking into this Argentinian parrot that became super common in the houses, in homes, as a pet in the 60s, 70s, 80s in Spain. And we started having this very special relationship, but over the years this relationship has changed, and after being not used as pet anymore, there is a big controversy in many cities in Spain, because of course, as you can guess, the Argentinian parrot is not indigenous to Spain, and so it has become an issue in the different cities because of its not being so-called invasive species and not having predators and so on, and it become a social issue. And of course, it is there's a lot of controversy around how to control these populations, and how, for instance, in Madrid they are shooting at them and so on. No? And so we started looking into these species and what was the controversies also around them, and apparently it's not that much that they affect the ecosystem, but that their nests are very heavy, and they could potentially fall and generate accidents and so on. And but we were really amazed on the way that they are building, and we were also thinking about this idea of how we very much change the image towards a species without the species knowing about it, and so on. And we were trying to mediate amongst this conflict and proposing new ways of establishing nests that would not be as dangerous or as municipalities claiming, and that could be potentially built in collaboration with these Argentinian parrots, no? And so we presented this in La Casa Encendida in Madrid, no? Another project that we did around this Argentinian parrot, many other birds nest in the Las Ramblas in the city of Barcelona, which is one of the green lungs in the city, because it has all of these trees, no, and where all over there in the small black rectangle is this museum that is called Center for Art Santa Monica, where the director of the museum wanted us to build a climatic shelter for people to enjoy Las Ramblas during the summer, because Las Ramblas is a place with no need to consume and to spend money, because Las Ramblas is somewhere that is, although being a public space and being super interesting, it is very related to consumption, no? So you need to pay money to be there, no? So he wanted us to build something in the terrace that would generate this public space that is not related to consumption, but that would also generate some shadow and some nice kind of weather, no? So we generated this large roof and this tropical garden that would potentially reduce the temperature, no? Again, we're suffering from this heat island effect, and so these chimneys would generate this venturi effect and would just generate this, stimulate the cross ventilation, and the plants would also regulate the temperature and lower down the temperature, and so also we were working around these species, these Argentinian, or all of these other bird species, and generating these bird houses also. And of course also all of the cover of the devices is covered in these kind of pink feathers and branches that could also be picked up by the birds in order to do their own, to contribute to their own nests, no, and so on. And these are some images of the project, no. Or this one that we call cohabitation dome, that is this infrastructure that focuses on soil restoration as a first step to an ecological rebalance. And so we were commissioned by the Frac Center in Orleans, which is the third collection of architecture after the MoMA and the Pompidou, to intervene in this industrial space, that it was an abandoned industrial space that they wanted to take over for the new headquarters of the FRAC, but before that they wanted to celebrate this first biennial of feminist art and architecture, and so they asked us as architects, would you approach this building in a feminist way, no? So first thing that we learned when arriving this place was this is a ground zero, but it's not a tabula rasa, so the fact of it being abandoned for so many years, and the fact of the roof being damaged and the soil being damaged, but having a very special environmental conditions had stimulated the growth of an ecosystem that was like living there. So microorganisms, insects, birds, and plants would share like this abandoned space, no? And so what we wanted to do is opposed to what an architect would do, no, is turn this into a blank page and to a tabula rasa, and so repair the roof, repair the soil, and generate this kind of like closed environment. We wanted to do completely the opposite, no, taking into account all of these pieces, no. So we built this mobile infrastructure that would like float all over the soil, that has allowed this ecosystem to inhabit the space, and that incorporates a whole set of technologies in order to achieve the optimum conditions of comfort of these initial inhabitants, no? So this device would incorporate thermal lamps and growing bulbs, and also like UV bulbs and fans and irrigation systems that would stimulate the growth of this ecosystem that had been like there before, no? In this sense, like we were positioned in in this feminist biennial in the sense that we wanted to explore the imaginaries of a society that is based on affection, that puts itself in the place of the weak, both human and non-human, that is based on cooperation instead of competition, and on symbiosis instead of extractivism. And coming back to public space, we were commissioned by the city of Rome to again work on the public space of the city for a festival of architecture, where we discovered this very interesting relationship between Rome and the cats. Of course, the relationship between humans and cats has been very interesting in all of the civilizations, not just in the Romans, but in the case of the city of Rome, this relationship has survived this modern obsession of sterilizing our cities, and so the regulations of the city of Rome still protect feral cats, no? So still, when there's a colony of cat detected in the city of Rome, the municipality is forced to protect them, no? When there's 2 or more cats somewhere, they are forced to keep them there and not like not take them away, no? So there are these like organized groups of citizens that are called gataras that feed the cats all over the city, no? And you can see like they are the only ones like allowed on top of the ruins, and so you can see, for instance, this colony of cats in Torre Argentina, which is one of the most important ones, no? So we were analyzing the different colonies of cats in the city of Rome, and we established our device in Via Ignacio Silone, near Ostia Station. And so we were working in public space through a non-anthropocentric architecture, so none of the materials or the form or the spaces were designed for humans, although they were occupying and claiming the fact that we also, if the public space is a space of conflict, there should also be like in the part of the conversation should be taken over also by other species, no? So we think that the project was pointing out the emergency of thinking about public space, not only prioritizing human needs, but also taking into account other species, and that it established with us all kinds of mutually beneficial relationships, no? And so this is the device once installed there. Another line of research that we work in the office extensively is this one called vegetal politics. Through this long-term research line, we scrutinize the colonialist, racist, and speciesist legacy inherent in construction of modernity and its contemporary influence, and we use the world of plants as our lens, no? So all of these projects that I think, I would say most of the commissions are like taking part through cultural institutions, but they examine topics such as the migration policies of the European Union through its laws on seeds, exportation and importation, or more recent discussions about assisted migration. And these are, no? And so one of the projects, and again, I'm going to talk about the certification line, is called In Transit. So again, the fact that we are like the certification line is going to the north in Europe is like what all over the world, of course, is going to the north, and some other places is going to the south. But it's like we're more and more familiar now with this human figure that is the climate migrant. No? So that are these people that are forced to migrate from their places of origin because of the severe condition of them due to climate change. But this figure is not just like a human figure, no? So many species of animals and plants, which is like even worse because they don't have legs to move, need to also migrate in order to look for more weather conditions that are like more suitable to them, no? And we had the occasion to work in this exhibition that was looking into the future of the city of Barcelona, and so we were like just putting our lens in these plants, no? And so we were like looking into how plants that now are like local on the north of Africa or the south of Spain will be local in 70 years of the latitude of Barcelona, no? And so. So now there's already been on actions on assisting by humans assisting the migration to the north of these species in order to try to make them survive. No, so so the device just like showcased all of the species that we curated. Again, it was this capsule. We also were reproducing the thermal conditions of this latitude in some years, and we were also working with a composer that was like composing this music for plants to grow slowly, as opposed to what they usually do in the forest of the greenhouse in Netherlands, which we are trying to make them stress them so that they would grow faster, no? Or this other project that explores the fact of uses the orchid as a symbol of resistance that is used on the Caribbean, no? As the plant that when European colonizers arrived to the Caribbean, they found it very exotic, and they kept on bringing it to Europe and doing greenhouses of orchids. And of course, we'll know what also happened to all of these ecosystems, because also we came with monoculture plantations of banana and coffee and sugarcane, and so this kind of capsule was it was this greenhouse for orchids, as showing them as a symbol of resistance. And in this drawing we show all of the species that have been extincted after colonialism, arrival of colonizers in the 15th century. Or this one, Felaria Times Capsule, where we were studying this glacier that is called Felaria Glacier. In Switzerland, in the Alps, the climate change is more severe than anywhere in the world, probably, because of the melting of the glaciers is like kind of like exponentially causing like consequences. And so when we were studying this one, we were like seeing this interesting timeline in which experts like say that the glacier is going to melt, and because of the melting, it's going to arrive to a very green kind of vegetation because of it being like very nutritive, because of it having a lot of water. But this like green vegetation is going to like just like get rid of all of the resources in a very quick way until the complete extinction period, and turn these places into a desert. No? So we were for this exhibition that was called Design to Protect. We were just like generating this time capsule in which we wanted to freeze a moment in this period of time in order to remember it and so on, and generate this kind of closed environment where we would like thrive these species that were like a certain moment in this process of defreezing, like of melting of the glacier. No. Other line of research is this one that we call queer natures. That focuses on the false political neutrality of concepts like nature, using this as a basis to build an entirely new framework for transformative action. No? In these projects, we often rely on technology to question the boundaries of the natural and to reveal its conservationism. You see this? And so I'm going to go through this one, the Garden for Romantic Crossovers, where we started from the analysis of the different uses that occur in this river. This is in Madrid, the river Manzanares, where there's a lot of cruising, this practice to meet sexual practices, meeting strangers, often related to nature, and that call into question the most common definitions of romantic nature. And so in this context, we were called to intervene in this public center called Matadero, where there's also a huge, strong heat island effect. And we were called to intervene on it in order to mitigate, in this public space, to mitigate the effects of climate change there. And so we proposed this garden that you see here on this kind of collage or like Photoshop render, and so for this exhibition that was called Ecovisioners, we were called to bring a mock-up or a prototype of how this garden, or what were the devices that the garden would incorporate. No? So on the left you see the model of the proposal for the whole Matadero, and on the right you see the drawing, that like the mock-up that we did just for this exhibition called Ecovisioners. No, it's a device, or it's called the Garden for Romantic Crossovers, and it links humans, non-humans, animals, biological entities, and technology in this non-anthropocentric cohabitation infrastructural garden that promotes the constructive and environmental strategies that go beyond traditional discourses related to ecology. And so again, using lots of different technologies such as the thermal valves and the growing valves, and doing this hanging garden of aromatic plants and aphrodisiac plants, and generating this like very hedonistic public furniture. We were facilitating this relationship between humans and other species, and transforming this like Matadero cultural center into a hub of biodiversity in the city. No, these are some of the details. No, or we were also working in this like 9-meter tall chandelier that we hung from this flea market, the largest one in Europe, and where we were studying the different wavelengths that in each phase of the plant growth the plant is receiving. So we were trying to do this kind of diagram in 3D in order to also like understand this kind of queer performativity of nature. As following Karen Barat research on transmateriality, and also influencing this fluidity of what we understand by natural and the totally artificial condition of our mechanisms of perception of reality. And for instance, this is also the piece that we presented in Chicago together with Ivan Lopez Munuera, that is just closed, I think, this weekend. Where Chicago, where we were working in this project called Discotecture, Alter State, like researching on Chicago as the city where music and architecture intersect, that had sparkled a spatial revolution that has been like for years, like usually underestimated by architecture, but that has contributed to generate dynamic arenas where bodies, technologies, spaces, and politics are continuously negotiated and reshaped. So then this project, Discotecture Alter State, was generating this dance floor using also, again, all of the technologies usually used in these spaces, and has been activated in the past months by the biennial. Or this satellite chandelier, where we were studying the politics on the low Earth orbit, and how all of these questions have to be discussed in the society. And we brought the discussion to the lobby of the Design Museum in the city of Barcelona, where we organized, we did this satellite chandelier, and we also organized a set of discussions and talks about the governance of this low Earth orbit, which we are not much informed about. And so this was a little bit the device that we designed for the occasion. In another field of research, which is called More Than Human Figurations, we explore the potential of integrating alternative references, formal, material, or constructive, into the conventional catalog of contemporary design and architecture practice. And so in these projects, we seek to explore the transformative potential of operating from positions that blur modern binaries, such as the distinction between human, non-human, nature, culture, object, subject, or dead, alive. And so these projects sometimes, for instance, this was one of the first projects that we did, where we very, on purpose, tried to start from frameworks that are completely opposite to the aesthetic frameworks that we would bring as we learned from modernism. So we started from a completely kind of non-human shape, from the 3D scanning of an oyster, and we consciously were assembling a multiplicity of materials coming from very diverse origins, acknowledging this necessity to operate, not operate anymore from blurring all of these, blurring these binarisms. Or in this research line called Feminist Technoaesthetics, we compile catalog of materials and design techniques commonly associated with feminized labor, and that have been traditionally probably overlooked because of them being assigned to women. So the intention behind this project, which range from furniture pieces to large interior designs, is double, to reclaim the knowledge of these technologies and to assess its potential for empowering feminist architecture. And so, for instance, this is Mountain. This is a project that we did with students in a workshop where we built this 16 square meter kind of mountain where we built this dress, like recovering an old technique of patterning, bending, folding, and so on. And so the students would design these hexagonal pieces, and each of them would be the author of one of them. And so we would like put them on a row and generate this kind of collective authorship, but also like identifying our individual kind of authorships. And I don't know where. Okay, this is another set of projects that I think I didn't bring a project that we called circular bricolages, in which we work on the principles of circular economy and also of like the bricoleur in order to make cheap, very cheap and circular projects, no? But finally, I wanted to talk about these post-carbon domesticities through projects, again, centered on circular economy principles, the use of natural materials and passive climate control systems that are primarily focused on the design of domestic spaces, no? And so these are like a little bit like different from the projects that you have seen before. You have mainly seen projects that are like have to do either with public space, either with cultural institutions that allow us to be positioned on a very speculative position and to open discussions of future, where the audience is staying there for 15 minutes and so on. But this set of projects are more linked to private clients and domestic spaces, which is also like something that is for us very interesting to explore, no? For example, in this example of the Day After House, where we were commissioned to do this apartment on a block. It's a refurbishment of an apartment on this block of apartments, which is very it's kind of like very popular in Spain, no? Like most of them are like very, very typical of Spain, no? And probably many Western kind of or European cities, no? And that had this initial distribution that is like very much coming from the typology of the bourgeois house. You see that there's like a service entrance for the service spaces, like the kitchen, and then a main entrance, and then there is a corridor, and there is 3 bedrooms, and they are not cross-ventilated, and then the bathrooms are in the darkest spaces of the house, and then a big living room, no? So this is a little bit the overlapping of the initial plan and the final plan, just to show you that because of budget constraints, we decided to focus our all of our budget on half of the house, no? So we just built on half of the house, and we left the other half quite raw, no? Another thing was the idea of working in thermal gradients, no? We wanted to work from the principle, not rely on fossil fuels. We have a huge crisis of energy in Europe, and we don't get much energy. We have a lot of geopolitical issues in this sense. So we wanted not to rely on fossil fuels to heat or cool our houses. So we established a set as if it were the layers of an onion. The places that were in the more interior kind of layer, they are more protected from the exterior. Therefore, their temperature is more controlled. Whereas the ones that are more outside, they are more related to the exterior temperature. No, so. In this box that we call the summer house, that would be the blue spot. The temperature is very much related to the exterior. Then we have this winter house where we build this very kind of well insulated box. Made out of low embedded carbon materials such as cork and pine, and that is really well controlled, and it works very well during the winter. And the third box would be this communal bedroom where even the conditions are even more controlled, no? And so also we were working in the principles of also low carbon emissions, so not affecting the crust of the earth very much, working with materials that have been also even like absorbing CO2 during their lifetime, as the cork or the pine. Even the cork is like absorbing more and more, because of we don't have to kill the tree in order to have the cork, but all of the materials are also in this kind of circuit of low embedded carbon, no? And this would be the views from the summer house to the winter house. And so the materials are, of course, quite different, no? While the cement is like absorbing the heat during the summer, all of this cork and pine are generating this kind of insulating kind of space through for the winter space, no? And this would be the communal bedroom. And of course, all of the spaces are very are having all kinds of passive systems to control also like the all of the cross ventilation. No? Everything is very well cross ventilated, but also like there are lots of different filters that will allow you to control the temperature of the house, again, not relying on fossil fuels. No? Like in this photo, you see like the exterior facade, and then this corridor, and then the screens, and then the glass, and then the curtain, the thermal curtain, no, and all of that, no, and so this would be the plan of the house, and this would be how it's used. But also we were like reflecting on all of the different spaces of the house, no, such as the kitchen, no, about okay, this is the Frankfurt kitchen, like it was released 100 years ago. What could we bring also to the kitchen, no? And we decided to bring as opposed to the previous like design, where the kitchen was like on the dark space, on the service entrance and so on. We placed it on the center of the house. Even like the table was a continuous table that turned into a working area, or the dining room, or the dining table. And of course we lifted the working spaces of the kitchen, but it could be seen from all over the place, no? Or the fact of working on the bedroom and reviving a concept of bedroom of some pre-modern, pre-dependence on fossil fuel energies to heat and using. No, you see this is an alcove, which is a bedroom. But it's also a working area. But it's not an individual bedroom. But also because of the bodies are heating, are also heaters. They worked in these kind of communal bedrooms that the client also agreed on. And this is this box. Also the fact of thinking of the spaces of bath and so on, and how we also wanted to bring them to the most privileged areas of the house with the natural ventilation, also like kind of reconsidering the idea of intimacy and privacy, no? And so these are the bathrooms of the house, and also like the fact of like bringing spaces to the house that are not like this. These are the spaces of Silicon Valley that are not like meant to have a program there, that are not designed for a purpose, but there many things could happen there, no? And these are some other drawings, and also the fact of bringing active heating systems. This is a Swiss stove, not relying on fossil fuels, but also being able. No, we included this stove, and also the fact of working also in relationships, like in here, there's a relationship of mutualism with other species that are also contributing to heat the space, and also working and designing for the more than humans in the house, which in this case it's the cat that could like walk below this space and also on top of this space. And this is Roma doing that some years ago. And also like bringing working also with vegetation to regulate temperature, as you saw before in the Pink Mountains. This is the coal stove in Lisbon, and in the summer house, we also incorporated all of these plants to lower down the temperature and be able to regulate the temperature during the summer. And also the fact of working with ornament, also to try to react to the aesthetic principles of the modernism, no? And just to finish, trying to be very quick, I'm going to show you this house that came right after doing the day after house, which is this 10K house, where the client wanted to bring the principles of the day after house, but he just had this 10K budget. So we tried to look into solutions that were, of course, more economic, but that were also keeping the ecological and the performative behavior that we were able to achieve in the day after house, no? And that led us to this 10K manifesto, where this was a much smaller apartment in Barcelona, where we were working with, again, with thermal gradients. In Barcelona, it's a little bit more mild weather, but we were also working with these principles of gradients. We were elevating the main elements of the house to allow the free passage of mechanical systems, so without the need of making grooves on the walls and reducing the costs of construction time. We were mainly working with two materials, which are MDF and this wool that came from these transhuman ships of the Pyrenees that do this amazing task of that is very good for the biodiversity, but then the wool is not suitable for the textile industry because it's very dirty, and it is a very good insulation material, and we love to use it. Then we also didn't include in the budget the coatings after the demolition or the finishings or the paint. Because this is something that the client can do in another phase, and so we wanted to prioritize all different needs. And another time, this hedonistic vision of the places of bath and kitchen that are on the most privileged areas of the house, looking into having the lights and so on, no? And lastly, self-construction, no? We were just designing this kind of furniture as if it was kind of an IKEA furniture, and assembling that with no need of experts during a couple of weeks together with clients, no? And just to end very quickly, this is the seasonal house. Just coming back to the very beginning of the lecture, where we went through our workshop in Barcelona. It is our workshop, but it's also the place that we have been turned into the place where we live in Barcelona. But we didn't do this project from the very beginning, but what we do is work in circular economic principles again, where anytime we have materials back coming from an exhibition that was over or that they are not going to reuse, or they didn't buy for the permanent collection, we just use these materials in order to try to domesticate this space, no? So we repurpose, we revive, we reuse, we upcycle, we prolong the lives of these materials, no? Also, because of being in this industrial context, we are also surrounded by lots of materials that can be turned into spaces, no? Also, because of it being a very big industrial space, we have a lot of space, but we don't have energy. And of course, we don't want to heat and cool relying on fossil fuels. As opposed to that, what we do is, instead of having bedrooms related to the inhabitants of the house, the bedrooms are related to the seasons. So we have a bedroom that is used mostly during the winter, but that has, there's the summer bedroom and so on, depending on how we are using the materials that are covering these places, no? So for instance, this is the winter bedroom, where that is being used with these recycled foam elements that came from another installation that we did in Madrid, and that was the first one that we had to do because we were really cold in this place in Barcelona during the winter. You have some weeks of real cold, and together with our bodies, this space is super comfortable during the winter. We also have these winter coats that again is like generating this enclosed environment where with the help of your body they are generating this heat. And then when the summer came, we were super hot, and so we had to get rid of this, like we had to get out of this bedroom, and so we did this summer bedroom that is done with this scaffolding with the aim of like bringing the bed to the same height of the window in order to generate this like to bring this ventilation. So we're using these screens that are called this persiana alicantina. Is very used in Spain so during the summer. So you would like close them during the day, so to prevent the heat from coming in, and then you would open them during the nights while you are sleeping to stimulate this continuous like cross ventilation. And so, of course, the bed is the height of the window. And of course, we're using always like materials that we are not screwing, we are not, we are screwing, we are not gluing, because we use them once and again and once and again. And this would be, together with the winter bedroom, this is the bath. Again, of course, we love, like as in the previous houses, we like this bath to have like baths with a lot of natural light, and in this case to also be invited to be being used in crowds. And so we have all of our plants. There's also this tropical garden here that also like benefits from the humidity of the bath. And these frames that you see here are just recovered from this other installation that we did in times of COVID for our recording room. We also have this vertical sauna that we did for Vitra some years ago, where the upper part is like warmer than the lower part, and that could also be turned into a solar sauna. We have our daughter's bedroom done with like such an amount of different like small pieces and very, very diverse, because they were the pieces that we had here with us in the office, coming from the construction elements, and also having two places. This would be the one that is used during the winter, and then on top we would have the one that is used during the summer, and many other elements done like in this circular bricoleur kind of philosophy, working with recycled foam, and with, for instance, using the bricks in a post-tense way instead of like gluing them, in order to use them once and again and once and again. And also, in this case, this is a cinema that comes from another exhibition. And that's it. Thank you very much.
We have time for questions. We would love to hear from you and respond to anything we may want to know more about. So please don't be shy. You can use the microphone circulated.
I thought it was really interesting around like people anticipating species of plants at lower latitudes. You were talking about having species of plants that would survive at lower latitudes, and people bringing those further towards Barcelona and things like that. I don't know, I guess my question is, how do you facilitate the conversation when there might be someone who says, oh, that's an invasive species, or that's gonna harm, like how do you help that conversation be constructive, I guess?
Yeah, this is a very interesting conversation, and there's no quorum between ecologists and animal rights defenders and so on. But it's true that there's like, it is happening. So there's already like many programs of assisted migration that they are going on right now. because it's kind of a question of survival. Like there are some places that the weather conditions are getting so severe that some plants are not able to resist there, and they are in fact like bringing them to the north, no? So of course, it's something that I think we will have to talk about. It was interesting, like in this process, because this question of course, whenever, as it happens with the green parrot, whenever you bring a species, a newly introduced species or invasive species, or however you want to call it, that is generating an imbalance in the ecosystem, because there are predators that can eat them, but they don't know that they can eat them because they are eating other species, and so it generates this kind of imbalance. And of course that is happening, and that is something that it's happening everywhere in the world, because of our patterns of mobility. We are like constantly like bringing species somewhere else, no? So that is something that is happening, but also we will need to fix it by probably moving more species, not like trying to, and we are also like many others are like many people is like working on trying to recover the local landscapes, no? And like trying to get rid of invasive species and so on. But then we are also facing this problem of the fact that because our climate patterns are changing, these local species are not going to feel okay anymore in some years, no? So there was a super nice conversation when we did this project of Barcelona, because it was a very kind of local museum, very, very rooted on Catalan culture, no? And Catalan is a Barcelona region. It has a language, and it's very important there, the Catalan culture, because sometimes the language is like threatened and so on. So they were like really wanting, like they were like really like worried about the species being Catalan, proper Catalan. Like they are not African, really, like or they are not from southern Spain, because southern Spain is not Catalonia. And I was like, well, like, and they were like, but is the lemon tree Catalan? And I was like, well, yes, it's Catalan. Okay, then we will put it. But it's kind of, no. So these questions on how, or we are like now in Switzerland, and sometimes we are like a little bit like from when we are more in the world of art or architecture, being a little bit provocative too, because we need to have these conversations. Probably not now, but now in Switzerland we are working also in these terms, and because of climate change, this is like being very hard. And Edelweiss, for instance, which is like a very a species that is a very it's part of the identity of the Swiss identity, is like also endangered because of the melting of the glaciers and so on, no? And so we are bringing this, and of course we want to preserve and there are architects, for instance, Philippe Ram, some years ago with the students of Geneva, he did this installation on preserving it was a greenhouse that instead of like generating heat, it was generating cold for preserving the Edelweiss, because it's not going to survive the temperatures. But we are bringing this because they are struggling with again with a heat island effect. We are bringing this canopy that is using vernacular architectures from the Mediterranean Sea. They will have to incorporate architectures that come from southern regions in order to be able to face the temperatures that they are going to have. And they are already, like, they are super protected against the snow and so on, but during summer they are like really struggling on cooling their places, no? So we are bringing these examples of, like, we think, and we, of course, we will in Spain have to like bring like examples of southern, like, or will, and in water parliaments in the project that we did for the Venice Biennial, we think we have to learn from lower latitudes in order to survive in the future, no? But yeah, it's a very interesting question. Sorry for being long, but I think it's very interesting and we have to talk about it, yeah.
Really gorgeous portfolio of work.
Yeah.
Your work just feels, it's so tactile. You can really see the craft in it. You can see like the handiwork that went into it. I really want to like touch them. And I'm curious if you have a favorite material to work with, or a material that you find particularly challenging to work with, but you still choose to use it.
Thank you. Super nice question. We love very much like materials in general, and I think it's also like there are phases, no? So I think at the very beginning we are very obsessed on this kind of like challenging the traditional frameworks of like aesthetic frameworks of like modernism, and trying to bring materials that are never used in architecture, no? So materials that you can buy in the like pearls, like strings and color and pink, and so to try to provoke a little bit this kind of, or like to try to like start from other starting points, and so we loved working with them. It was like very like the process of like of assembling them, it was like hard, and it was like a very craft kind of process, and we loved, and we have been, you see, works with paper, and like also depending on the budget, like we could do something like huge just with like we could cover this whole thing in paper for $100 and things like that, and so we love that. We also love working with construction materials now, for instance, and this idea of like how we use the bricks and in a post-tense way, so that we don't need to glue them and so on, and that we, I don't know what we love very much. Also, like depending on like the geometries that we want to achieve, we are using material. If it's a double curvature, we like using foams. No, if it's like, so the fact of us building our own stuff, I think has given us a lot of expertise on what materials are suitable for what moment. Also the fact of us having to carry them, like ship them and so on, how they behave structurally, how we can do the smaller amount of like volume for the large. No, this one in Chicago was very challenging because we had to ship it from Spain. So it's okay, how will you build the largest amount of space with a very little material? So we did this tensegrity where you are like using some elements in tension and some elements in compression, and so the volume was just like 3 pallets, and then it was a complete thing, no? But we love furry materials and pink materials, and like we love it, like we like very much. I wouldn't know what, like sometimes we, like now for instance, we want to go back to working with wax, no, because we like it very much. So in the new commissions now, I really want to work with wax. So now next commission that I have, okay, we're going to explore a little bit more this material and so on. But yeah, we love them very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
I'm so loud. Your work is so beautiful.
Thank you.
I am a psychologist, so architecture and art is not in my wheelhouse. So I'm just curious, when your work is commissioned, how much are the folks that are commissioning it providing their wants, their opinions? How much is it your team, and how much is it the people who are asking, and how do you work that out, and does it vary?
Yeah, thank you. So this is something that we get asked a lot. Thank you for that. And we are. I think we are very. I don't know if that is luck, but we usually, because we have already this kind of portfolio. The clients are usually like super, like especially when it comes to cultural institutions and so on, they are super open, and they don't have like any. They just probably bring us a topic, which is ecology or something like that, and then we are able to bring our own like research and our own like program and all of that. So it's usually like they usually approach us because of these kind of works and because of these kind of topics, and it's usually very easy. When it comes to houses, of course, to domestic spaces, then of course the client has their own needs, no? So that is another thing, but we are also lucky enough that the clients that approach us, they also have seen what we have done before, and of course they are really very much into all of these issues. So we are usually very lucky, It's kind of we are not like now. For instance, we have this project where it needs to be very functional because it's a dance floor, but it's not in Chicago. It was a dance floor because we decided it to be a dance floor, but it was in a museum. But now we have to do a dance floor for a festival of music that is like usually inviting amazing architects and so on, and we are doing a very sophisticated kind of thing and needs a lot of like back and forth, and we're completely like, oh, this is like how people work, like having a lot of like back and forth, because it's usually we do like a first kind of like we submit the proposal and the client says yes, and then we have this process where like while we build, we keep on changing some things, adjusting things and so on, to the point that sometimes the client doesn't even know the color of the project that is going to arrive or something like that, no? Yeah, it's a little bit like that.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you. I have a couple questions that are sort of like interrelated. The first one is, when you do like an intervention or make like a design object, how long is it out for? Or are there things that are permanent? And then related to that is, I don't know, this is kind of blunt, but then like, who owns it when you're done? And if you own it, where do you put them?
Good question. Thank you. So first one, it depends. Like it depends on the client. It depends on like. So some of them are there forever. Like for instance, the one that I brought it, but so quickly you saw it on a picture that the thing that what we're doing in Switzerland, this kind of shading canopy that is called the right to shadow and so on. This is going to be there forever. No, so we have to, really like. Of course, depending on how much time, then you have to do more effort on like the preserving. No? So these big mountains were there for 5 months, so you can work in these terms of the foam and the color, no? So it depends. Some of them are there for years, some of them forever, some of them for 3 days. No, the Arca was there for 3 days, and then usually it goes to another place, and now it's in it works as another thing, no? But of course, like. The freedom of like how you select the materials and the constructive elements and the construction systems and so on depends on the amount of time that is going to be there. Even when we are working a lot with pink and shapes and so on, and also even the time that the audience is going to stay in the piece for us is important. So we need to, if it's on a museum and someone is going there and is going to be there for just 10 minutes, we need to capture their attention in order to, like as in this satellite pavilion, no? We need to talk about the governance of the low Earth orbit, and so we do this like amazing chandelier for you to capture your attention. But probably I'm going to design your home, and I'm not going to do something that you will going to be tired of it, no? And then about the other question, which this is something that I have this conversation with many architects all the time, especially architects that are working in these circuits, because what architects usually do is that they have a piece on an exhibition, and then when the exhibition finishes, either it goes to the permanent collection, either you try to bring it somewhere else, Otherwise, you bring it home and you store it. We, of course, if it goes to the permanent collection, that is for us the best news, and we have many of them are in permanent collections, but usually permanent collections want to have small pieces, but no problem. But we try to avoid storing them, because storing pieces means spending, like, that there is money going to a landlord instead of going to the culture, no? So what we do is to, of course, we don't want to throw anything away, no? But we just like bring back the piece and reuse all of the elements. So if you see like here, like all of the metallic elements are the same in all of the pieces. So we constantly recycle all of our materials. All of the bulbs are the same bulbs in every project, no? And that's why, for instance, this is how we have been building our place in Barcelona, with all of the leftovers of the materials, no? So we never throw them away, but we never store them, because we wouldn't have and then if someone like tells us, okay, I want this piece, no, because we get so many commissions of, oh, I really want to bring this piece to my Biennale, the curator, and so on, and we tell them, no, for the same price of, we're going to do a new one. And so we do a new one, and we're able to do a little bit more of research on that, no? And for us, it's it's not that you're spending more money, it's just that the money that you were going to spend on the landlord, you are going to spend it on thinking on another project that is going to open more conversations, no? So yeah, this is something that for us, it's a conversation that we have all the time, yeah.
Thank you so much for your presentation. It's really interesting. I was just wondering if there's like a central theme or like intersection of themes that you're interested in personally, like exploring. I know you get commissions from clients and you have, like you were saying, a conversation about what it's going to be about, but I wonder if you are interested, you have some sort of like, interest, a personal interest in a topic or the intersection of two or multiple topics that you want to explore in a piece that you haven't yet been able to.
Nice. Wow. Yeah, so like I think in a wide range, like of course it's like what I have been talking about, no? Ecology, feminism, how we should like change our way, like how architecture can mediate in the shift of our ways of living in order to like face the current scenarios of polycrisis and so on. But now, but it's usually because we receive commissions all the time, and we are usually having something ready for the next project. No, it's kind of I really wanted to talk about the system migration and so on, and we do that all the time. No, when something comes. I don't know now, like I think, well, something, for instance, I don't know now, all of them are, of course, around the same topics, no? But we don't have anything, there's something that we have been wanting to do for many proposals, and we haven't done it yet, but we will probably, is around this question of the post-carbon domesticities around, and we were doing this, we're proposing this project that is able to, like, it's called, like, it's not thought, no, but we think of a 5 climate house, no, a house that could work in, no, like, because now it's not that, no, I don't know, now in Spain, for instance, it's so crazy, like, it's not that it's not a global warming, it's kind of like severe weather, extreme weather events all the time. Like today is a flooding, tomorrow is like whatsoever, no? So we were exploring on this kind of 5 climate house where you could like go to one or another place depending on if it's kind of freezing, snowing, flooding, and so on, no? Yeah, that's probably a next project, yeah. Thank you so much.